building a simple Telegram bot that fetches and displays weather information from the Weather API services. This bot allows user to enter a location and it will send back the current temperature for the location. So we are using two packages here. First is the request module, which is used to make HTTP request to the Weather API. The second node is Telegram bot API, which helps us interact with the Telegram bot API to create and manage our bot. And here we initialize the Telegram bot by passing our bot's token into the node Telegram bot API library. The token is the key provided by the Telegram when you create a bot on their platform, and this allows us to send and receive messages. Now we set up a listener to handle incoming messages from the user. Whenever a user sends a message, this function will be triggered. And then here we check if the user message it starts. This is the command user will type to start the interaction. If they type /start, we send a message back to the user asking them to provide a location, either a city name or a geographic coordinates. Now let's move on to the core functionality, fetching weather data from the Weather API services. We define the API key and the URL from the Weather API. The URL contains our API key and the location at the user provider. Next, we make an HTTP request to the Weather API using the request library. If an error occurs during the request, example no interconnection or the API service is down, we catch it and send a message to the user saying there was a error fetching the weather data. We also log to the error in the console. Once the request completes successfully, we try to parse the response body from the JS on format into a JavaScript object. This is where the weather data will be extracted from. The data written by the Weather API contains the temperature, location, and other information about the weather. Now we check if the API response contains an error. If the location is invalid, example the city doesn't exist or is misspelled, the API will return an error object. If there is an error, we send a message to the user with the error description, such as invalid city name. The data valid if we extract the temperature and the city name from the response and then send a message back to the user with the current temperature for that location. If there is an issue with the passing response such as the data being corrupted or malformed, we hand it with a try-catch block. If an error occurs, we let the user know that there was an issue processing the weather data and the log error. That's the basic functionality. The bot takes a location as input and provides the current temperature for that location. There are plenty of ways we can extend this bot. For example, you could add more detailed weather information like humidity, wind speed, or even weather forecast for the upcoming days. And don't forget, always keep your API keys secure. In a real world app, you had want to store them in environment variables instead of hard coding them into the source code. It works. Let's give a location name and it will give you the temperature.